Today we're going to read a story about Osage foods. This was sent to us by Renee, Asa's mom, and it's about some of the traditional foods from Osage culture. Remember, Osage is one tribe of native or indigenous people. So these are some Osage people making food together. Here's one food that Osage people traditionally eat. This is part of Osage culture. This is a bison. Before Europeans came to the Americas, Osages got food by hunting, gathering, and farming. Osages hunted wild game like bison, elk, and deer. So this great big animal in this picture is called a bison. There were two bison hunts every year, one in the summer and one in the fall. The goal of the summer hunt was to obtain or get meat and fat. So the people who were Osage used lots of parts of the bison. So they also got thick winter coats made from the fur. They made robes, moccasins, leggings, breechcloths, and dresses. So lots of parts of the bison were used. Osages also gathered wild foods such as pawpaws, acorns, walnuts, cactus, onions, berries, turnips, persimmons, and yonkapins. Many of these foods were gathered in large amounts. Some of this food was cooked and eaten right away, and some of it was dried and stored for winter. This is a wild grape right here. Another food, I hope I'm saying this correctly, yonkapin, or the wild lotus root, grows in shallow ponds and on the edges of streams. This root is sweet and delicious when raw or cooked. I've never gotten to eat this before. I bet it tastes great. Wild strawberries were another traditional Osage food. The wild strawberry is edible and tasty. Edible means you can eat it. It grows low to the ground in open fields, woods, and even backyards. Wild strawberries are smaller than farmed strawberries that you might get at the grocery store. Prickly pear cactus. I've seen these around my neighborhood. I wonder if you have too. Both the fruit and the leaves of the prickly pear cactus are edible. You can eat all the parts. They can be raw or cooked. They're best when young and tender, and today many people make the sweet fruit into jelly. Persimmon is a sweet fruit that grows on trees. So another traditional Osage food you might see in your neighborhood is the persimmon. When it's ripe, it's orange in color, just like this picture right here. The whole fruit is edible. You can eat the whole thing. I know sometimes we've had these for snack at school. I don't know if in kindergarten maybe you had a chance to try a persimmon. The pawpaw is a sweet, juicy fruit that grows on trees. The entire fruit is edible. That means you can eat the whole thing. It's delicious, raw, cooked, and dried. The wild onion is a strong, flavored bulb. It's smaller than the onions that are farmed that you see at the store. People eat all the parts: the underground bulbs, the long, thin leaves, and the blossoms. Wild onions can be eaten, raw, cooked, or dried. Osage people grew crops. Crops are things that you grow on a farm or in the ground, including corn, beans, squash, and gourds. In the spring, men would clear the fields and women planted crops. In the fall, these plant foods were harvested. Some of the crop was eaten at harvest time, but most of it was dried, because dried foods preserve for a long time. That means you can save them. The Osages stored all the dried foods and then ate them during the winter when fresh plants weren't available. What a good idea. So Osage people and some other native cultures were some of the first cultures to think about saving things for the wintertime when there wasn't enough. Very smart. So here's corn. That was one important crop. Look at this beautiful corn. Beans, gourds, and today Osages still eat foods like bison, corn, persimmons, and yonkapins. They also enjoy prepared dishes that combine traditional Osage ingredients with ingredients introduced by Europeans from the last 300 years. These dishes include fry bread, which we've read all about, grape dumplings. Here's fry bread in the picture that this Osage woman is cooking. Grape dumplings, meat pies, and meat gravy. These foods are served at special occasions such as funeral feasts, birthdays, in-lunchka dances, and other celebrations. Here's a picture of some more people preparing a big feast for community celebration in the town of Gray Horse on the Osage Reservation. So reservation is where many people who are native or indigenous may live. You might have heard some folks referring to it as the res or the reservation. So these people are making a feast. Look at all this food. How special. Squash, it's another important food. Look at that. There's meat gravy, corn soup, Those are all traditional Osage foods. Grape dumplings? Ooh, look at that. I bet that almost tastes like a pie. Or if you like grape jelly, maybe you would like a grape dumpling. And a dish with yonkapin. Wow. Here's a table set with all of those traditional Osage foods. Thank you, Renee, for sharing this with us. And kids, I hope that you like learning more about traditional Osage foods. You can also click on the link in this seesaw